Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video, and welcome to episode 142 of Ask Bossk Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my very best to answer them each week. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured, leave that question in the comment section below of this video. And as I say, hopefully you'll be featured next week. Just a little bit of housekeeping for the channel. I managed to hit 23,000 subscribers this week on the channel, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you so much to anybody that subscribes. If you don't subscribe, hit the subscribe button. I will be doing a giveaway at some point in the very near future. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to be at this point in time, but there will be something pretty cool for you guys for helping me reach 23,000 subscribers. Also, I received in the mail a envelope there with Little Bossk, care of Bossk Bounty, to the PO box. So we're going to be opening that up later on in the video as well. I'm going to get my son, Little Bossk, obviously because it's for him, to open that later on. So be sure to check that out. If you do happen to enjoy the video, don't forget to drop a like down below, because that does help the video and the channel. And let's get straight on to the first question. Novamura says, hey Tim, love the videos. Question for next week. Did I dream it, or was there a suggestion that Hasbro were going to release the rest of the modal nodes on TVC, either on cards or in a troop builder box? I've got the recent Figure in Dan figure, but his solo stuff is rubbish. Need to get the band back together. Thanks, Scott. So yes, you did not dream it. Basically, Hasbro did sort of confirm, I think it was Emily, she did say that, you know, at some point they're going to try and get the rest of the band out. Now, the issue I have with this is that I wish they would just come out and say how they're going to do this, because at the end of the day, we're in the dark. We don't really know whether to get 3, 4, 5 of these guys, because then they're going to be doing like a deluxe version with the rest of the instruments, or are they going to be releasing a 4-pack in one of those boxes with the rest of the figures and the instruments included? And therefore you don't need to get 3, 4, 5 of this Figure in Dan. So I wish they would just come out and say, because it would make things a lot easier for us guys. Hopefully we'll get an announcement on that in the future, but as of yet they haven't confirmed how they're going to do it, just that it's gonna happen. Lil Pookie says, awesome video as always. Question for next week, when will Hasbro announce more new vintage collection figures? I know SDCC had a few announcements, but I'm drooling at the mouth for more. I know Yakface has a long list of upcoming unnamed TVC figures. Maybe I'm just impatient, thanks. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being impatient. I'm very impatient also. I want them to reveal some more stuff, and I'm hoping there's going to be a live stream maybe before PulseCon. PulseCon is at the very end of September, 6 weeks away basically. I'm hoping we're going to get a live stream before then with some, you know, reveals. Maybe just a little handful of reveals before the main PulseCon onslaught, which I'm hoping it will be an onslaught, but fingers crossed, my friend. Owen Brown says, awesome cameo from Little Bossk. My question for next week, are you as devastated as I am with the news that the Knights of the Old Republic remake has been delayed indefinitely? Yeah, I was very disappointed with that, but I think there has been some recent good news that a new company has taken it on. I don't know 100% for sure for that, but these games take too long as it is, don't they, to come out. But fingers crossed it's on its way again. Mando Brunt says, hi BB, great show as always. Another Stormtrooper question. I note that most troopers from the Black Series have appeared in the vintage collection or on the way, such as the Artillery Trooper for instance. One trooper I would almost sell my soul for and would love to see in the vintage collection is the Imperial Shock Trooper from the first PS4 Battlefront game. It's in the Black Series and demands a high price on eBay. However, with all these troopers we've had in the vintage collection, the Imperial Shock Trooper would be icing on the cake. Any petition we could put to Hasbro for this? Well, I don't think that one would need a petition, to be honest. Let's face it, this guy here, with all the other troopers they're doing, they've got the definitive sculpt now for the Stormtrooper, and I think we can expect them to use it lots more times. And that one, I'd actually forgotten about that one. The Imperial Shock Trooper would be awesome, man. Totally agree. Daniel Rachel says, question for next week. I'm looking to purchase one of your t-shirts. My question is, what is the difference between essential, premium and comfort? I'm pretty big. What would you suggest would be best? Well, I really don't know the difference between essential, premium and comfort, unfortunately. I think that's more of like the style or the type of cotton that they use or whatever. I think really you need to just make sure you get the right size, essentially. I have 2 places where you can get my t-shirts or my merch. You've got TeePublic. I have a storefront on there, and also if you look on YouTube, maybe even on this video at the bottom there might be some merch available through Teespring, I think it is. But yeah, fill your boots, my friend. Arno Van Dies says, amazing video as always. My question for next week is, do you think we will get Starkiller in the near future, seeing as we're getting a lot of Force Unleashed characters recently? I think that one's already been pipelined by Hasbro. I'm pretty sure it got pipelined at the same time as the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian Paz Vizsla and Hunter. I think Starkiller was also like pipelined, but as far as I'm aware, it is going to be one of those repacks. So it'll be VC 100 repacked. So there's your Starkiller. Tony J says, great video as always. Question for next week. Seems like we just got VC 200 the Emperor, but we are quickly closing in on VC 300. Do you think that happens in 2023-24? And who would you like to see as VC 300? Man, that is going to be quite far away. However, I do believe that will be in 2023 because we're already at what, 260 something in 2022. So I can only imagine that we're going to be getting VC 300 in 2023. I wouldn't like to speculate who that's going to be. Who would I want it to be? I kind of like the fact that the Emperor, which is quite a special character, he's the main villain, isn't he, apart from Vader, that he was VC 300. I would like to see them do something similar again with maybe one of the core characters like Luke Skywalker or something. Luke Skywalker on Farm Boy, VC 300, all new sculpt. Would be fantastic. Just Capster says, what an amazing video, boss. Question for next week. Being the speeder bike is coming, any chance of a repack of IG-11 with a knapsack holding the child? I would love a deluxe box of it. It would seem like a wasted opportunity for Hasbro to miss this one. Good use of the tooling, molds and easy money, need I say more? So I'm not 100% sure if we'd get the knapsack with the child necessarily, but I think, look, they're going to be doing that speeder bike, aren't they, with the Return of the Jedi, and apparently it's an all-new sculpt. There is no way in this world that Hasbro are going to waste that sculpting money, tooling costs or whatever with just the one speeder bike. I would bet my bottom dollar, or even my house maybe, that basically they will probably, you know, repaint that white or grey, dirty white, whatever colour it is from the Mandalorian. I can see that happening. You know, I think that's nailed on. Rob MC says, hey boss, question for next week. Sticking with Jabba's Palace Gamorrean Guard topic from this week's video, the box of Jabba's Palace has two Jawa figures on the left of the scene. I see the Jawa on the far left has a different colour for the shoulder strap and it seems to be shorter as well. Where did it come from? Is it carded figure or did it come with another playset? Also, what's the big figure in the back behind Boba and the guard? Is it from TVC? Thanks for your time, your videos and the effort you put into making them. You're a great source of TVC knowledge for fans all over the world. See you next week. Do appreciate those comments, mate. I really do, honestly. Now, I'm trying to remember what the box looked like for the Jabba's Palace without even looking it up. And I think the big character that you are referring to is this guy here. This is Ephant Mon. And he was available in 2002. I think it's called like the Saga line, I want to say. Same packaging as the Attack of the Clones figures, basically. Really big figure, massive bubble. Amazing he didn't fall off the card, to be honest. But that's Ephant Mon. Really, really nice figure. Probably never to be seen again. In terms of the Jawas, I think these are the two that are on the box. And these two are from the 3.75 inch Black Series. They were on the TIE Fighter card. And they came as a 2-pack. When they re-released them in the Vintage Collection, they just put him on a card. And he was never to be seen again. So this one here, the only way you can get him is in the 3.75 inch Black Series 2-pack. There are 2 or 3 other Jawas as well from the Legacy Collection that came with droids from the droids lineup, from the Uncle Owen scene and what have you. They may have been the ones on the box as well, but from my memory, I think it was these two. Okay, so I've got 2 great questions here from Bather12, which I really, really want to sort of dig into. He says, loving your work, Tim. Always makes a Sunday night, Monday morning so much fun. So thank you for that. Couple of questions for next week. If they tickle your fancy. I'm an old fart who loves the original vintage line where we only had one Vader sculpt for over 5 years. Is the upgrading of new figures getting out of hand? Is the quest for the perfect sideshow-esque 3.75 inch getting silly? We now not only have some semi-obscure characters in the 3.75 inch style, but we have multiples, i.e. Piet. Are these constant revamps taking the opportunity away from figures we've never had at all? Also, the retro line. It's a real shame that you feel it's a bit of silly fun. It could be so cool with new characters like the next 17. Would you really rather it went away completely? The line, even using new media, has kept me interested in modern collecting and I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss it as fluff. Anyway, love you, Hayden. Okay, so I'm just going to address the second question first about the retro collection. You say there that I said it's all a bit of silly fun. Like, at the end of the day, you're right there. If it was the next 17 figures, or figures that they've never made before from the original trilogy, like carrying on that line, then I would be all for it. The problem is that it's not that at all, is it? Let's face it. What they're doing is giving you figures that you've probably got in your collection, maybe. Okay, you might have beta versions of them or whatever, but they're giving you figures from 40 years ago that you've already had in your collection. They're giving you 1 or 2 extras like the Tarkin, which is good, which is what we'd want more of. Other than that, they're giving you all new media figures, which aren't really retro at all. So that's where I don't really see the point. And also, it's my understanding that all of that tooling budget that's being used on those retro collection figures for the new media, you know, is taking away something from the vintage collection, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a bad thing. Because if you ask me to choose between the two, it'd be the vintage collection all the way. So that's my problem with it. You know, you want them to do the next 17, and of course that is how I would want them to do it. The fact is, that's not what they're doing with it, and that's why I don't like it. In terms of your first question, yeah, so I know on this channel, you know, I'm always talking about the need for newly sculpted figures in terms of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi, C-3PO is another one. And you are right in one respect, that if they were to concentrate on those figures, it would take away from a new figure from new media or whatever. But to take an example from my good friend Chris over at Bantha Skull, he says, you know, he can't believe that we have a brand new, fully newly tooled Mythrol figure who's like a secondary character in The Mandalorian, and then we don't have, you know, a definitive Luke Skywalker or Han Solo from the original trilogy. We've got plenty of Lukes over the years, but right now, with all of the new techniques that they have of making figures, you know, we have this amazing Mythrol, but we don't have an amazing Luke Skywalker, and that's the issue. In terms of Piet, at the end of the day, it's just one new sculpt, and it would open up the doors for so many figures that they could do with that officer sculpt. You've got Thrawn, you've got Krennic, loads of ones that we're missing. So that one's a little bit different for me, but I guess I know what you're getting at. You know, we're always going on about how we want probably figures that we've had 5 or even 10 times, maybe more over the years, and we're always asking them to sort of update them. But I think with the core main characters, the heroes, I think it's really important we have those in the vintage collection line. After all, they aren't actually in the vintage collection, they're in the original trilogy collection on a card back. So we actually haven't had them. Out of the 250 odd figures that we've got in the vintage collection, we do not have the main heroes from the original trilogy in that line, and that for me is just weird, especially as like what Chris said, when we have like this amazing Mythrol figure. And don't get me wrong, I love the Mythrol figure, it is fantastic, and it's great that we've got him, but it's a bit weird that they spent all that money on that figure and they're not prepared to spend all the money on like a Luke Skywalker, which would sell far more units than the Mythrol. Starkiller says, great video, 10 question for next week. With 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi coming, with VAC Metal officially back on the retro line, what's your thoughts on Hasbro making an all new C-3PO in VAC Metal for TVC with the Ewoks throne perhaps, and a 4-pack of Ewoks to accompany him, with potential for other Ewok 4-packs with a bunch of different accessories and weapons? Thanks, BB. Starkiller, mate, I think you should work for Hasbro, essentially, because I would eat that up all day long. It's sort of going back to the previous question, but let's face it, we haven't got a decent C-3PO in the vintage collection yet, so why should we not want that? And yeah, Ewoks, mate, I love the Ewoks. I'm all for those. All right then, so a break from the questions, and I've got my son, Little Bossk, here because he wants to open this letter that's been sent to him, so let's do that right now. Okay, so there you can see it is from the UK, and we've got a sticker there of Bossk and Forlom, or Zuckus, depending on how old you are. Little Bossk, care of Boss Bounty, PO Box 2154, Worthing, BN12 9EW, and on the back there you've got some more bounty hunters in Dengar and IG88. So I'll slice the top open for Little Boss. Do you want to open it up?
Yeah.
Go on then, let's see what's inside. Oh, there's a card in there. Okay, and then do you want to just get these out? Let's put that back there. Alright, so we've got a little postcard here. Do you want to read it?
Yeah.
Alright, then you read that. Go for it.
Hi, Little Bossk. Here is some bounty for your collection. A small reward for the great help you give your dad on his videos. You're great too. Enjoy, and may the force be with you.
Denny King.
Denny King.
From Denny King. Thank you, Denny King, fan of the channel. Always read your comments, my friend. Really appreciate you sending this. It makes his day, it really does. So awesome postcard of Vader there with Fett in the background. That's from the carbon freezing chamber. Awesome scene. And he sent you some coins, look. So we've got, you collect these coins. And should we open it up?
Yeah.
Right. So what have we got there? We've got
a Jawa.
A Jawa. What's that one?
C-3PO and Salacious Crumb.
Yeah. And then we have... That's...
Han Solo getting tortured.
Yeah, okay.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, it's... Yeah, it is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then that's Qui-Gon. And...
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah, that's a cool coin, that one. And... Oh, wow. Who's that?
Forlom or Zuckus.
Zuckus, it's Forlom, but... And that one is... Biggs Darklighter. Awesome. So thank you so much, Denny King. Really appreciate it, my friend. He's over the moon with these, and they'll go nicely in his collection. So appreciate that. That's completely out of the blue. Didn't know these were coming, so it's always a great surprise. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Powers Desarmo says, hi there, boss. Question for next week. With Return of the Jedi having the most merchandise in TVC and it being the 40th anniversary next year, do you think it's possible that Hasbro will go all out and give us plenty of new figures and vehicles? I don't see why not. Also, what would be your general wish list? Mine would be, and then he's put a load of figures down there. We've got Velkin Tazeri, Barada, Squidhead, Biker Scout, which we know we're getting with the speeder bike. A-Wing Pilot, there's loads there, isn't there? As always, thanks for the wonderful vids. Always look forward to see your content. Thank you so much, my friend. I don't think it's a secret now that we are going to be getting a lot of stuff for the Return of the Jedi anniversary. I've been saying it for a number of weeks now, and then at the San Diego Comic-Con, I think Patrick himself said that we are going to be honouring the anniversary because we've missed out on the previous anniversaries in the vintage collection. And from what I know that's coming, there's some good stuff coming. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed. We are going to see a lot of Return of the Jedi stuff. And it is quite funny, though, because when you do look at the vintage collection in terms of carded figures, we already have a lot of the Return of the Jedi, don't we? But I don't mind that because it's my favourite of all the films. So I'm very happy with that. And I can't wait for next year. Zombie Duck says, long time watcher, first time asking a question. Based on what you know, feel, which series will Hasbro emphasise more with TVC releases in 2023? Book of Boba Fett or the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Thanks. Okay then, so from the things that I know about, I would say that Book of Boba Fett wins over Obi-Wan Kenobi. In fact, I got to be honest here, I don't know of any new figures from Obi-Wan Kenobi coming next year. That doesn't mean to say that there isn't any, but it's just I don't know about any of them, okay? Whereas I do know about maybe one or two, maybe three Book of Boba Fett figures. So in that case, Book of Boba Fett wins. Jason O'Toole says, g'day Tim, question for next week. With the discussion about damaged TVC figures, there seems to be a lot of focus on the cards being damaged, but I see far more bubbles being crushed, etc., than cards being bent. I think Hasbro could address this to some degree by increasing the thickness of the bubble plastic. Fan feedback saw Hasbro improve the card stock, so do you agree that there could be room to also improve the bubbles? Perhaps just the internal tray needs to be thicker plastic to reinforce the outer bubble. Yeah, that's not something that I've really ever thought about, because when I've opened up a case of figures, the bubbles always seem to be okay. For me, the bubbles get damaged on the pegs more than like it in a case of figures, but I might have just been lucky on that front. I think the danger is of making the bubble a thicker plastic would be the weight of it, and then maybe it might fall off the cards easier. I've already got some of my card backs losing the glue and the strength of that bubble on the card, and maybe that's as heavy as they can go without it sort of falling off essentially. I don't know. Thomas Velarde says, great video as always. My question for next week is, would a clone Juggernaut tank be a good HasLab? With this project, I feel they could give us a lot of new figures like Cad Bane, Count Dooku, and maybe some new mould clone commanders. Your thoughts? Well, not too sure about a HasLab necessarily. Let me know in the comments what you guys think to them re-releasing one of the turbo tanks that they've done in the past, like the Clone Wars, for example. Would you be happy about that if they re-released that? I think I personally would. I've got lots of clone figures now, and we've got that new sculpt coming out next year, so to have a vehicle for them to go in would be awesome. I don't really know how good a HasLab it would make, and how many people would be excited about it. If they were to do it, I think it would need to be a bigger version than the one that we've got at retail. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you feel about them actually re-releasing the ones that we've had before. Instead of like doing a HasLab. Would that do for you? Reckless Deck says, Tim, question for next week. What are your predictions for PulseCon announcements and pre-orders? So we've got about 6 weeks away. I did say earlier on in the video that I do hope that we've got a live stream before then. I really do hope we have, because 6 weeks is a long way to wait without any reveals. I would imagine that we're going to see some Andor stuff. We've got those 2 figures on the back of the card back which weren't announced at the previous live stream, the SDCC panel. So, you know, we know that they're coming because they're on the back of the card back. It's just whether they save those for like those Andor Wednesdays, or, you know, like they've done with previous things on the StarWars.com site. So maybe they'll save those for then. I don't know. But I think at PulseCon we'll probably see some of the stuff that's going to be early next year, because we only do have the 1 wave left this year. Maybe there's going to be some more exclusives that they can reveal, some gaming greats or something like that. But in terms of you know, main line, we've really only got those 2 Andor figures left to be revealed for the rest of the year, and then it's going to be the first wave of 2023. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's hard to predict really what they're going to be doing. Mighty Makoko says, question for next week. Do you think they'll ever make prequel era retro collection figures? If they did, would you collect them? I'd have to see them first, to be honest, but I really don't think they're going to do it, because let's face it, it's difficult enough to get them to do prequel era figures in the vintage collection unless they're like a repack or something. When was the last time we had a newly tooled figure from the prequel era? You know, I'm scratching my head trying to think of one. So no, I don't think that's a thing, my friend. You know, I think going forward it'll be the new media that they do them for. All right then, guys, that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you want your question answered on next week's episode, leave it in the comment section below and hopefully you'll be featured. Drop a like down below if you've enjoyed the video. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members. Your support is greatly appreciated. Helps me make more and better videos, and hopefully there's going to be more to come on the channel. And it's been great to hit 23,000 subscribers. So thank you all for watching. Hit subscribe if you're new, and we shall see you on the next one.